Okay, so welcome to this special edition of ABNcast, recorded at the Passenger Experience Conference here in Hamburg, which takes place the day before the Airline Aircraft Interiors Expo, which happens over the road over the next 3 days. I'm joined by Johnny Clark, who's founder of The Design Air. It's a consultancy that works with airlines on their cabin, essentially, and what their cabin has and offers the customer. So you started this morning with your keynote.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about what you're saying. Your point, I think, was it's not all about the hardware. There's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, the idea of my keynote was simply that with the advancement of so many seats and cabin interiors, we're reaching a bit of a plateau now.
Yeah.
So many airlines offer the same hard product. They offer the same seats, albeit with maybe different colors, trim and finish. But where does an airline find its opportunity to stand out in a pretty crowded market? So it's the pivot and the switch to looking at sometimes those invisible forces that sometimes get overlooked. And that's the entire passenger experience, all those little magic moments and how they all speak together as one.
Yeah. The title of your session was When Everyone's Premium, Who Wins? And I guess that is true over time. Things that once were considered premium or luxury become mainstream. And I mentioned automobile. You look at the state at cars today. Entry-level cars have equipment that 20, 30 years ago was considered almost sci-fi, So that is generally what happens with technology. Is there a point at which that has to stop, or is it inevitable that it goes on and on and on, and there's always going to be something new around the corner?
Well, I think there's always going to be something new. It's just the natural evolution of all of the products across the entire consumer industry. So whether that's your latest iPhone or telephone or your laptop, there's always going to be another product that's coming out.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people now, when they talk about luxury, what they're talking really about is experience. So if you look at the hospitality industry, a lot of the very top-end luxury brands are trying to create a sense of experience when they arrive in a destination. So looking at the local cultures and bringing that to life. I think a lot of people, when they're now seeking luxury experiences, they're less likely to pick purely on a nice finish or a nice room or even a nice cabin if you're an airline.
Yeah.
What they want to do is get this real authentic sense of an experience.
So it is the personal experience, the customer experience, isn't it, or the passenger experience, more than just the hardware. And that was your main theme, actually, in the talk, wasn't it? Hardware can get you to a certain point, but if it's not kind of connected to everything else that goes on, it really doesn't sort of hit the mark for a luxury customer. Yeah. So how does an airline make sure that? I think connectivity was one of your key pillars that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, that's right. So there are four pillars which I think that the airline really needs to focus on. One of those was that connective tissue. And by that, what I mean is that the airline industry generally is very siloed. So you have people who are responsible either for products or parts of the passenger experience, whether that's lounge or in-flight, or it could be the food or the in-flight entertainment. Yeah. And sometimes when those departments are so siloed, there's a real missed opportunity to take a step back and look at, from a passenger's perspective, how they all work together. Yeah. And I think that's the evolution that we need to start seeing from airlines. It's no longer about bringing out the best seat or the best in-flight entertainment, because we're kind of reaching that plateau where they're all offering very similar experience. So yeah, it's all about finding that connective tissue, those little moments that really help tell a story for a brand.
Is there a limit to where this can go in terms of premium? Is there a ceiling, essentially, where there's really no point going beyond that? And actually, there are some companies out there. I mentioned Stelia before, a company that brought out a seat that was stripping out some of the luxury or stripping out some of the mechanics because it's heavy, so they're being more sustainable. But they're just saying the biggest luxury in an aircraft is space. So if we take out some of the stuff that's been put into a seat, we give people more space, and that's real luxury. So are we hitting, do you think, a point where we can't go any further? It's more about trying to work out what the user experience is.
Yeah, and I think that's what the industry has done over the last decade, is they've looked for those opportunities to give more space to the passenger. Galleys are getting smaller, seats are getting bigger. And that was deemed luxury, was to have all-aisle access, to have a bigger bed in business class or even in premium economy, more storage. If it's in economy, having more legroom, so greater pitch between the seats. I think now it's about, from an airline's perspective, that opportunity to deliver something a little bit more. So I think we have hit that plateau from a hard product. I think realistically, a lot of airlines over the next few years are going to switch to their soft product and that end-to-end passenger journey as well. So what's it like in the airport? What's it like when you land? What's the app like? And then how does that all work together?
Yeah. You started off this morning as a keynote. What else did you take? We had a panel afterwards where we got a little bit of insight from rail, and also from the sort of the more holiday tour industry, and then finished off with F-List, who produces high-end luxury materials for business aviation, but moving into commercial. So what did you take from the session this morning after you spoke?
Well, I think the interesting part from all of the sessions this morning is there is an emerging theme, and it's not about talking about the latest big products. We're all, as an industry, starting to focus on the minutiae. Yeah. So whether that's the UX and the shopping experience, whether that's how the app helps support the passenger journey, whether that's the material choices that we're starting to use and how you can connect materials both in the lounge and then bringing them on board. I think we're now starting to uncover and unpick some of those smaller nuances, which is what really luxury is all about.
Yeah. Something else that you have been in the past as a pilot. So you were telling me you did fly commercially, and you flew for one of the better known low cost carriers out there. And that's not to say that low cost is there to produce, obviously to get people from A to B, but there is a customer experience element to that as well.
Of course.
What does that part of the sector do in terms of increasing its product, improving its product for the customer?
I actually think it's probably, I know I'm talking about premium and I'm talking about business and first, but I actually think it's even more valid for the low cost product because it is, it's not an all bells and whistles experience. It's a very basic product. And that's how low cost basically operates. Yeah. So how as a brand can you stand out when you're basically offering the same experience? Whether you're an EasyJet, a Ryanair, an AirAsia, the passenger expectation of that brand is bare bones. Yeah. So how do you have a brand message and how do you get that across? Yeah. And that can be done through a few soft touches. The choice of food that you serve on board. AirAsia is well known for its interesting food choices that you can pre-order and have delivered to your seat, which are incredibly cheap. They've even gone and launched their own restaurants in AirAsia based on the food that you can get on board. But EasyJet and Ryanair, great example, two low-cost carriers, very different positioning. But how do you present that, not just in your branding and your marketing, but in the actual passenger experience itself?
Yeah. It's not about just maybe the hardware. So it's about the experience. And actually, on the low cost side, you've got a lot to go out there because expectations are what they are. So it's about exceeding those expectations, isn't it, and surprising and delighting people beyond what they expect. If you're already doing luxury, it's really hard to make that extra step.
Absolutely. And I think you can be really playful with the low-cost space as well. So there's lots of innovation that can go on. You're obviously appealing to a younger demographic. So the Gen Zs and those younger brands, which are very attuned to latest trends and they're very strong in supporting brands that they believe in. But I think a lot of low-cost carriers still see themselves as a transport mechanism rather than a brand. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that...
Yeah. Well, Johnny, look, you kicked off things brilliant this morning. I think there's a lot more content this afternoon. We've just had lunch at the PEC, so have a good afternoon.
Brilliant.
We'll see you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, so we're here at the Passenger Experience Conference still on day one before the AIX trade show starts. I'm joined by Luc van den Avila, who is the head of business development at Zeiss. And Zeiss, you were the sponsors of this morning's keynote sessions, which correct. I was very honored to moderate. So you kicked us off this morning at the conference. Tell us a bit about Zeiss. You're entering the aviation market. So what do you do?
So I'm the head of business development at Zeiss, Zeiss Aerospace. That's the latest and the greatest business unit of Zeiss Micro-Optics, right?
Yeah.
So we have, at Zeiss Micro-Optics, we have the automotive section, and we have the consumer. And about a year ago, a little bit less, we started with the aerospace.
In aviation.
In aviation,
and that's your background, isn't it? So you've come into Zeiss to bring them into this sector.
That's correct. I am 40 years in the business.
Yeah.
So my background is aerospace engineering, and I'm being a pilot, single engine aircraft, twin engine, gliders, helicopter, and hot air balloons still flying the helicopter.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I was 25 years at Embraer.
Yeah.
So, and then after I joined Beyond Aero, which is the hydrogen electric business jet OEM.
Yep.
And I was selling business jets.
Okay.
And by interviewing the operators and the owners, by how do you like your cabin? What is the future of the cabin? You know, the cabin with the soul. So I interviewed mostly the ladies of the owners because they were handling the cabin, the cabin interior. And they all said, oh, we would like to have holographic displays, window infotainment, you know, the latest and the greatest. Oh, gosh, what are those guys talking about? So it came to Zeiss. I went to Zeiss and said, hey, guys, that's going to be the cabin of the future.
Right.
You know, so what can you do for us?
Yeah.
And then we start talking and I said, hey, you seem to be an interesting person to join us. Let's start off the aerospace business unit.
Okay.
So that's how it came, basically.
Yeah.
You know.
So tell us about Zeiss itself. So Zeiss is an expert in optics. I spoke to someone earlier.
Yeah.
She had spectacles on with Zeiss lenses in.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
So this is what Zeiss is fundamentally. It does optics, or tell us about that.
Optics.
Yeah.
So Zeiss is existing 175 years.
Okay.
So it's a legacy.
Ancient company.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely. And Zeiss Micro-Optics, we started about 40 years ago in the 80s, right? When we could mastering, the whole opticals and so on. So mastering, replicating that, so we start to improve it. Yeah. That's why we bring it up. And then we started, with the head-up systems for legacy operators.
Okay.
Also in the defense, obviously, started growth. And from 2023, automotive, consumer.
Yeah.
And like I said to you a year ago, in the aerospace.
Yeah.
So basically, we're talking with everybody, all the tier ones, all the OEMs, the airlines, but also with the regulators.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit my job to bring it on and to discuss what do you want in your cockpit, what do you want in your cabin.
So you're working out the application of this technology in the aircraft cabin, both for the pilots on one side, but also in the passenger cabin as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Where do you see potentially the biggest use case for this technology then?
For at the moment,
Yeah.
for the next generation head-up displays, safety, whatever.
Yep.
It's already a mandate in China, by the way, to have a dual head-up display in the cockpit.
Yeah.
But obviously for in the cabin, more for window infotainment, holographic displays, holographic buttons, touchless buttons, and so on. Yeah. Okay. So there is you name it, we do it basically. Yeah.
Okay.
That's.
So this will bring like the next generation of cabin experiences to life through this technology.
Yes. So we as I said, we're talking with airlines, OEMs, tier ones, regulators. We're doing workshops. We bring them all together, and we are asking them, how do you see the cabin of the future?
Yeah.
And together with them, as one big family, we are designing, window infotainment, like I said, holographic displays, cabin dividers, seat dividers.
Yeah. And what stage are you at in terms of developing the product then? So obviously there's a long lead in time for getting stuff into the air in the sector.
So currently for the head-up displays, we are ready to go. That's what we will show during the Farnborough Air Show, the coming Farnborough Air Show in July. For the cabin, we are still talking with all the players that I just mentioned, right? And we're still in a concept design because we're listening to them. Yeah. Obviously, when we want to be ready, for the next generation cabin, we need to talk with the airlines now because we are talking about next generation aircrafts, right? So if we want to be there, we need to talk right now, right? So we are in a concept phase right now.
And what's the appetite among the airlines then when you come and talk to them?
It's huge.
They see the use case for this and they want to develop it with you.
Absolutely. The tier ones, the airlines, the OEMs, you name it. I'm talking about business jets, commercial airlines, right? There is no one size fits it all, right? Because in the business jets, as you know, you're talking about luxury, right? On the commercial airlines, you talk more about reliability, cost, and comfort for the passengers, right? And our solution, obviously, because now you need to replace the cabin interior every 4 to 6 years.
Yes. Yeah.
That's not in our solution.
No.
Correct?
Okay.
So it can be there for 20, 25 years without replacing it. And it's light. So light means less fuel burn. So it's sustainable.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So it's basically a no-brainer. Right?
What timescales are we talking here between today and having some of the stuff actually flying in the commercial aerospace?
I would say within 5 years from now.
5. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talking about cabin interior.
Yeah.
For the heads-up displays, we are there.
Yeah.
The cabin interior, let's say 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously we're starting with the business jets first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it goes to the airliners.
So that will be still there the technology will be proven in the business jet area, and then will then be introduced commercially,
obviously
slightly longer term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's obviously an interesting time to get into aviation. You can never choose your moment, I suppose. Things happen and it's outside of everyone's control.
Correct.
But it is an interesting time to say, right, let's get into aviation.
Yeah.
What does the current situation? We're looking more long term, I suppose, than a current crisis that is hitting aviation.
Yeah.
So what does what's happened recently? Does that make you pause for concern, or do you press ahead?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all, especially in the business jet segment, right? Because we see also the appetite from the OEMs that coming to us, and we ask them, okay, what's going on geographically? Does it affect you? And no, not because I'm talking about 2030, 2031, 5 years from now. So we are still good.
And we know anything can happen in that time, but you have to put long-term plans in.
Sure. We need to move.
This can't happen overnight.
Yeah. Because because I told you, if we want to be there with the next generation aircraft, we need to talk now. That's.
So are the commercial airlines you're talking with today who are going to be sort of trialing this and being your development partners?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the development partners are more on the executive OEMs.
Yeah.
Right? You know who that is? Yeah, without any names.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it slips over to the airlines, because we hear now from the airlines that has the biggest margins.
Yeah.
Right? So of course they go to the OEMs. The OEM comes to us. So it's a little bit, trilateral discussions that we have.
Yeah.
Right. So that's.
Yeah. So this is the passenger experience conference. This is a bit of hardware, but it will change the experience. Just give us a flavour of how you feel it will change that experience in the cabin, when it is flying.
Yeah, luxury. Absolutely. That's that's going to be, because that's what passengers pays for. They want, especially in the business jets, they want to have the latest and the greatest. It's like your iPhone. You want to have the latest and the greatest as well.
Yeah.
It's a little bit the same thing. In the business jet market, right? The luxury, the cabins with the soul as well. This kind of things. Yeah, that's.
Yeah. We heard earlier in the opening sessions that what's premium and luxury today ends up being expected in every cabin in a few years' time. So
absolutely.
As this gets rolled out, it will transform everybody's experience of flying, won't it?
Right. You see that we've seen that as well in automotive.
Yeah.
Automotive sector. That's where we started actually.
Yeah.
So it's actually going the same way for the in the aviation business.
Yeah.
Because
are there things that have happened in automotive that you think are very much analogous to what you'll be doing there?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like what things we see in the electric vehicle space, I suppose, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. And in the top branch automotives, automotive OEMs, we see that. So we started from the automotive, So then the consumer and now the airlines, and the response is very, very positive.
So before we finish, we're here for 3 days after this, and you'll be no doubt in the trading hall, trawling all the stands, trying to talk to as many airlines as possible. What do you hope to get out of the next 3 days? Obviously, you said you're at Farnborough, so you're going to be showing what's going on at Farnborough as well.
From tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock on, we have nose-to-tail meetings, with all the OEMs, airliners, business jet owners, and the biggest and the greatest. So we are fully busy the next 3 days. I hope I'm still going to get the voice. Yeah. So that's Yeah.
You're busy. So
Very, very, very busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we see there is a lot of appetite for it,
Yeah.
especially also after COVID with all the touchless buttons.
Yeah.
That's what we also do. PSUs, touchless, the lavatory, all touchless. So
Yeah.
that's cool. That's also, yeah.
Well, Luke, we wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for
Thank you
supporting
having me.
the conference today.
And you're welcome in Farnborough. We will have
We will be there.
Yeah, we
Yes.
will have a chalet over there. So
Okay.
that's
We will
going to
no
be-
doubt see you there, and maybe be able to feel and touch some of the actual product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's get a glass of champagne on the balcony here watching.
I will take up on that. That's a great
right.
offer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Yes, thanks.
So, and for this third and final interview from the Passenger Experience Conference here in Hamburg before Airline Interiors Expo starts tomorrow, I'm joined by Sarah Wilkin. Sarah is the founder and chief executive of the Fly Green Alliance. Tell us what the Fly Green Alliance is, Sarah, before we start.
Hi, Fly Green Alliance, FGA, is bringing together different stakeholders. As of last year, we are a membership which is essentially building the sustainable aviation fuel market. It is the nascent industry. Essentially, we're building a non-fossil fuel to fly on. So we are bringing the groups together. As you can imagine, we're working to build a non-oil industry. It's a big task. So we need as many stakeholders as we can, including anybody that essentially travels. So we've even got advertising agencies, we've got airlines, fuel producers, data providers. So it's everybody that is involved and that is actively working to make this industry work.
And where you're based is Amsterdam, is that right?
FJ is UK, but also there's a lot of good things happening in the UK. But I live in Amsterdam.
Okay, so but this is trying to bring the industry globally together to push forward the sustainable fuels agenda. Which is and what was the currently that we will know the challenges around this, but what are the biggest challenges that the industry is facing? There's a lot of them, I know.
I'll try and keep it simple, but the challenges are the fuel is much more expensive,
particularly today. Well,
there is
for various reasons.
There is, but actually what the fuel is also building is energy independence and energy resilience. So actually it is supposed to not be aligned with aviation fuel prices. We are working on having a more independent fuel that doesn't get affected by geopolitical issues.
Yeah.
And so it is building a stable industry, essentially.
Yeah. When I've spoken to people about sustainable fuel in the past, they've always contrasted the approach in the States, which they say is more carrot, to Europe, which is a bit more stick.
Yeah.
How do you see things working out in those two jurisdictions? There were some really innovative companies in Europe, and we've spoken to them and we know them, and they're trying to create a supply chain for sustainable aviation fuel. Are they given enough incentive to grow that? Industrialize it?
The different approaches. So actually there is policy and mandates have just come last year in the EU and UK. Now it is making the market happen, because if it doesn't, penalties happen.
Yeah.
So what it's doing is making the price of do nothing not worth it. So it's actively making the fuel producers as well as the airlines buy it. Now, in the US, it is incentives. So it is a different approach, but it doesn't mean it's prohibitive, but it means they have to have a real, it's more like a innovation and passion based. And actually, if they can see the economic benefit, it is, but up front, this is like any innovation curve, you need to invest a lot up front to get a product moving.
Yeah.
But we're not just talking about a product, really. We're talking about a shift in systems.
Right.
So it is complex. So the issues are not just the prices, big new technology that as you scale the technologies, there's no guarantee that at the next level it works. Again, it's engineering. It takes 18 more months to do this. So anybody that starts the projects has to have deeper pockets. And that's why at the moment, the groups that are doing it are those that can provide equity up front to get that moving and construction done. Mm-hmm. But the market is there. It is mandated in the EU and UK. And then what is happening is that leveling up is starting to happen in Asia. Different approach in the US, but it is becoming more a global approach. So the International Civil Aviation Authority, they're now putting funds around the world to basically do the feasibility and the prep work all over Africa, South America, Asia. So it is actively done. And just before White and Case presented, they're mentioned all of the projects they are doing the legal work on. So they know it is happening from a transactional point of view. And so all of it is starting to be there. But as I said, any nascent market, you're having to do it, but it's not just building an iPhone or a Tesla.
Yeah.
Building a huge production plant.
Yeah. Is the current situation regarding carbon oil, carbon fuels,
fossil oil.
Does that help? I mean, we're in the middle of another crisis. It may well be short-lived, but actually, does this sort of spur on innovation? Do you think? Does it give people greater incentive to move faster?
It gives a reason. It gives a motivation. It is a very real reason.
Yeah.
Because also we're spending money on, military, and so actually, if we are more a secure in supply of fuel, then that is a reason not to go into these situations.
Yeah.
But these are the reasons that certain leaps have been made and stuff. I set up FGA 2019, and then of course we went into pandemic 2 years. But then that gave it a kind of spur on from the airline perspective to build that better green recovery. So that did give a certain jump. But again, it's these moments where you can leverage. It's leverage.
Yeah.
And you leverage the right work at the right time, and then put it into tangible project development.
Yeah. So we're here at the Passenger Experience Conference, and obviously, how is that relevant to passenger experience? You spoke on 2 sessions a minute ago. Yes, maybe a bit of a leap, but actually, it is about passenger experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And now this is a different conference for me. I wanted to come because actually, I do not feel the integration of the passenger into the sustainability commitment, decision making, funding. It isn't happening as much as it can because there is some fundamental parts of just passengers don't want to pay, and they don't want to pay for more for flights. So we've got a few. I've just presented how we are thinking about how we flip that,
right,
and think about what passengers are willing to do.
Yeah.
And also,
so what are you saying? They won't ever pay for this?
So how do airlines think in a different way?
Okay.
So that has been my challenge to the airlines or customer experience specialists is to how do you still bring in funds basically, but you're asking in a different way. So I've just put a call out to groups to test our new product. Yeah. It's in testing phase. So like Green Alliance, if you're a customer service specialist, then I'm interested in there are so many different user journey, user experience opportunities, and they happen in every other product and industry. So it can also happen in travel. It happens in different ways, but we're not quite getting there yet.
Yeah. What we spoke before your session actually about the danger of greenwashing and airlines. I guess it comes down to over-egging what they're doing or over-promising and under-delivering. There's a big danger in that because the focus is on the aviation industry. Whether it's fair or not, it's never going to not be. Yeah. So how does the industry avoid accusations of greenwashing when it comes to this?
Well, what has just happened is that airlines in the EU and UK must submit their figures for buying SAF so they can say they're compliant now. That didn't exist before. That's why one of the the law firm did discuss a greenwashing case. So the legislation now happens, which is consumer legislation. So airlines are much more cautious now, but it also means that may be overly cautious and not saying as much as they're doing.
Right.
Now, there are lots of initiatives happening, and there are certain airlines, like BA has a 14-year offtake contract with one of the fuel suppliers. But again, there are certain pieces of work happening. It does need to be talked about, but of course, it's so sensitive now that it probably isn't being talked about enough financially. So also the platform that we are making is about demonstration, because we just seeing what is missing. What is missing is a bit of independence, or being able to independently demonstrate that through a third party, and through a third party that is certified. So there's just, having now been involved with the industry for 7 years, it's about taking the parts that are there or not there and then solving that.
Right. Yeah. There's also a lot going on. Yes, the fuel is one thing, but the aviation industry is doing a lot to, reduce its footprint in many areas where it can affect, where it can have an impact. And then maybe that doesn't get enough visibility. Do you think is that fair? Should the industry shout more about what it is trying to do and what it is achieving?
In some ways, but the things that are achievable are maybe sort of incremental things about weight. And actually, we have to think the average flyer that isn't working in sustainability, they might like to know something, and they might like to know a bit of a story about it, but the detail is too much. So my background is advertising and market research, and I think it's really about rethinking that. Yeah. Well,
look, Sarah, thanks for talking to us about this, and I hope you enjoyed presenting earlier on at the Passenger Experience Conference. Are you staying around for the aircraft interior show?
I've got another conference this week.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been nice to just talk to different groups and get different feedback, because actually it is this part that is missing. It's called CX here, customer experience. It's UX. It's the user journey. There are many things consumers are willing to do. So literally, it is thinking differently about it and coming up with new business models, new solutions. And it is messaging as well, communication and community building. Yeah.
And that's what events like this are all about, actually, because of the opportunity to come and talk to people and think differently and go away with new ideas.
Differently.
So hopefully that's what's happened today. Sarah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
ABNcast. Appreciate that. Thank you. Cheers.